theme of sustainability or the theme of ecology, we now tend to kind of use these two words as synonymous, wrongly use these two terms as synonymous, was in a way always something that was embedded in what we were doing. And realize we were always kind of taking care of this dimension of the ecology of our mind, taking care of this dimension, this cultural dimension of sustainability and ecology that was really putting the human being in the center. So we never had to deal with sustainability, because sustainability in terms of ecology of our mind and our spirit, has this other dimension, this dimension that is central for people and is getting more and more central for people to buy into any product, any commodity of our everyday life, has always been centered. So it was not just something that we had to take care of suddenly to readjust, because it was again re-establishing the centrality of the real basic needs, the latent basic needs of human beings, and expanding that into the individual dimension of each one of us as human beings, the habitat dimension of each one of us as human beings, and of course, the societal dimension of each one of us as human beings. And this is something that has always been embedded in this probably very peculiar kind of strategic consultant that our company has offered to other companies from the very beginning. I mean, I don't see any beginning and I hope also any end of what we have been consistently doing in the last 25 years. We think that after the economies of needs, we enter in the economy of wishes and desires, and it was a fantastic time actually. But now we are really, very, very much urgently needing to enter this next dimension, which is the dimension of the economy of meaningfulness, value for sense, value for meaningfulness, value for significance. This is actually what we should put in the focus of our activities, of our entrepreneurial activity, and as consumers, as our shift into a new culture of consumption. So moving all of us towards a new culture of consumption. A new culture of consumption implies that we have to understand and generate, nudge, not only new lifestyles, but also new style of thought. How we have to understand the new paradigms of a sustainable life means mainly to reconstruct the meaning of our lives. The human beings are very strange animals. They desperately, constantly try to generate meaning, to constantly try to give meanings to what they do, to what they stand for. And I'm saying that without meaning that at the end, the world or the life has a meaning, but probably because of that, we all together and individually try to give a meaning to life. So I think that the age that we had, that we have behind us, of overconsumption and oversupply, what in German we called it Zuvilisation, no? The too muchification, has got to its own final station. Is a common feeling that belongs probably more to the European spirit of the time than, of course, to the emerging countries' collective feeling. In fact, we cannot blame them. You know, we have been exporting one-to-one our Western over consumeristic lifestyle to these countries. So they have their full right to also aspire, now have this aspiration for the same kind of values, materialistic values that were dominating our culture in the last 50, 60 years. So the thing is that now we are, especially here in Europe, understanding and kind of having a memory of the future of something that has to change. And this is how we explain also this socio-cultural force that you can observe not only in these very trendy market segments that market researchers are now observing, like the LOHAs or the voluntary simplicity kind of segments, but instead, you know, in what in Germany I would call the Mitte, no? So that means in Germany, for instance, if we want to take Germany as an example of this value shift, this ongoing value shift, we see that also our colleagues from the quantitative market research science have recently noted that, observed that the issue of ecology, the issue of organic is not so relevant anymore. Because not because it is not important, because I think that people and the collective intelligence that glues together our societies have gone in a way much deeper than that. So the issue is how to regenerate values that are, as we can see in these two main groups, the one that generally, if we talk about Germany again, would vote for the two main parties, no? The two main Volksparteien, SPD or CDU. They, independently if they are progressist or conservative, they tend to go back to this kind of much more interiorized attitude towards the planet as our habitat for our children, for the future, and not just for the planet's sake. The trust in things that are much more deeper than just eco-label on top of a commodity, which is, for instance, the locality or the regionality of what we want to eventually still consume. This kind of values based also on a proper, clean way of life, and not just the lifestyles that you want to show off and that you want to use as a new status symbol. So these kind of things that have been already also quantitatively analyzed by market researchers show us, because we don't do quantitative market research, we tend instead to find out smart interpretations of what our colleagues are doing, show that really the issue of the next step of our economies and the next step of our market and consumer economy will go in the direction of what really at the end makes sense and gives to the people back a sense and a trust towards the future that they thought they had lost, that they are thinking they are losing. So the thing is really, again, shifting the whole discussion and the whole innovation management also in terms of consumerism into the development of products that make sense.